Dixie here, back at it again with another one. Look what I got made. Finally got that dash section complete. Nice crown top on it as well. I had to use some specialty tools on this one here. It wasn't all done with simple tools, but it was built simple, I can guarantee you that. And these tools that I got here are not high tech. Stick around. So we're back on that dash on this 49 Chev. In the last video on this one here, you saw me turn around and make up this section here. Okay, where I turn around and made it all out of pieces of pipe and steel and bent up a piece and then made up some raised sections so the actual 55 Chev piece would actually mount to the dash itself. Now that I got all that done, the next thing I got to do is I got to build the top section of it. But before I go at that, what I'm going to do here now is I'm going to mock this up and set this in place, because I got to do a cut to fit on this here because I got to get everything just so. So I'm going to mark it on the dash here and here, and I'm going to turn around and cut it so that it fits in there. And what I'm going to do then is I'm going to get a couple of pieces of plate and put it on my cleco so that I can actually hold it in place, so I can keep putting it in place and taking it off. The problem with this is I need to get this set back where it needs to be into the dash in order to start building the top side of it to figure everything out. So I'm going to go ahead now and get this here up in place, clamped where I'm happy with it, get it all trimmed off, and get this here fitting in place where I can actually mount it in such a way that it's held in clecos. So I just got it clamped in place here now, where it's got to go, and you can see this side here is way off. Okay, I don't mind that so much. What I need to do is I got to figure out now how I'm going to mount this. I want to have this so I can set this up here so it fits right. I measured from here out, and I had a measurement of 15 1/8 to the center here, which so that puts the steering wheel back where it was to before. But what I'm concerned about is this here not being straight. Like, I expect this to come over and turn up or whatnot like it. So what I got to do now is I'm going to mark this here so I can actually cut it off and get that to fall back in place. But I think I'm going to take like a piece of angle iron and go across here and have it so that I can clamp it on over here, and then I can clamp it on here, and that'll keep everything square and straight along there. That's the idea I got in my head there. And I might just take some strips of tin up here and probably down here somewhere, and then have it so I can put a couple of clecos in to hold it in place. I just want to get it back where it should be, so that way I can start figuring out the top side and do the same thing over here. I don't know how good I'm going to get it over here because I got to do some working over here, and I'm thinking about changing this end piece. I don't like the way these are. You can see the way it goes over the door. It's kind of interferes with trying to put a door panel onto the car. It was a nice feature, but I think it goes out too far this way, and I figured that it should just come smaller. So I'll probably have to rework that. But I'm not going to get into that now. Let's get this here mounted so that it has a place that I can just keep returning it back to the same place. That's the main key. And I can start building the top. So all I did is I scribed it. You can see it over here. You see where I scribed it down through there. I'm just going to go ahead now and cut all that out there. I'm going to make up little pieces that I can put here and over there. I can actually put a cleco in them, and that way I can clamp them in place, and then I can actually drill a couple of more holes in them so I can get them to hang in place and get that all straightened away. Just a quick little update on the ramp. As you can see in this video here, I do have it up and running. It's all straightened away. It goes up and goes down, but I'm in the process now of over here. I got the pump. I got to situate that in here, and I got to get these lines here made. They're going up along here, and I got some wiring that got to be done, got to be fused in and stuff like that, and switch. Everything is temporary here now. This is all temporary what we got done here. I just want to make sure it's up and running, so I got the lines all ordered for it now, and next in that is to turn around and get that all completed. But I figured I'd just let a few of you guys know that has been following along. I was one of the reasons why I stopped at this is because of the ramp, but I got this up and running. That is the height of it off the floor. That's where it'll always be. I have a set of ramps that goes out here, but I can actually now this will go up and touch the ceiling. So anyway, back to cutting that out. As you can see, all I did is I just found some scrap piece of metal. I don't know how good that one's going to fit. Hopefully it'll work all right. Might have to change the angle on that. No odds. I'll probably just take this one out and re-drill the back hole again. And straighten that up. But I got it all trimmed off here and trimmed off over here. Ready now to go up, and I'll clamp that right there with a pair of vice grips and square it up and make sure everything's all right. And see if I can clamp that on there. Well, what do you think of that? Need a pair of vice grip on to go there, is it? I was here playing with this. I wanted to get this here parallel. And I wanted to get this here parallel, going along there. Then I want to get these here to line up here. And then go from over here, you can see it comes down, and everything goes out of whack down here, right? That this whole edge over here, I just can't even concern with it. Over here, I'm pretty close. I got this one here lines up good, this one here lines up good, and it lines up good all down through here. This here is a little tiny bit high to here, but the way this is grinded off here, I think I can actually fudge this here to flow into that there, and then of course that rolls down right there. But yeah, now I'm going to put a couple of clecos in up here, so then I know I got a spot to put that. I might put something on the bottom yet, I don't know. I just find that what I'm after here now more than anything else is to have a spot that I can just keep putting it back, so when I start fitting the top, I can get it all in place. And it's flush mounted, okay? I'm not going to worry too much on making this perfect down here yet. I'm more concerned about this up here. You can never use enough vice grips. Everything let go, I went up here and I drilled out 2 spots there and 2 spots there and put clecos in it. So now I can actually return it back every time. Everything else is after softening up on me now, moving a small bit. I'll worry about that later. All I'm worried about is right along here and right along here. That's what I'm worried about. So now that I got that in place there, I'm going to go ahead and start building the top of this panel. But first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to strip all the top of this off because I know this is all filled. So God knows what I'm going to get myself into here now. Dig out the grinder. So here's where we're to. That wasn't that bad. There's not much filler on that. There seemed to be a little bit of welding work here and a little bit of welding work here. I don't know why. The piece now I noticed that was put in there was welded in, so, but I don't know. And I still don't know what the dash is out of, but that's neither here nor there. What I'm going to do now is find a piece of steel that's probably from here to here long, probably from here to here wide, and just turn around and start and cut out a piece and get it cleaned up so that I can start shaping a piece for there. It looks like it might be straightforward. I got to roll it down here and put a sharp roll on the edge of it, and then I got to trim it off to go along here. So one step at a time. Let's get a piece of metal now, cut out the size. A lot of people turn around now would have made a template of that dash and then cut it down, had the curved shape on it, the whole 9 yards. I found in the past when I made templates, I was usually always short. Somewhere on the template I was short, okay? And is either it's not long enough or the angle wasn't right, something like that there, you were always short on it. And you got to go through the idea of having paper or cardboard around to make the templates. To me, I've always liked to start off with a piece of metal that is the actual shape that I need, okay? Or the actual size it needs. It's bigger this way, it's bigger this way. I start with a piece like this here, I shape it, I get it to the shape that I want it, then I trim it after the fact, okay? It's just the way I do things. I don't fool around with templates. I do use them every now and again. I has fun with you guys talking about templates, but for the most part, all I ever does starts off with a squared off piece of metal. That way I got measurements and I can see where my angles are to, where my straight edges that I'm going to start off of. And I'll just shape it to the shape I need, and then I'll start trimming it to fit. So I'll get this cut out now and get all this coating taken off it. So I got that cut out, cleaned up. I'm going to go over to the pipe anvil now and start putting a curvature in the whole works of it. Woofda. What a mess I got here in the garage. I got too much stuff going on. I need to get to that. I got to move some stuff around here so I can get into that. Oh, it's ridiculous. They say you need a bigger garage. I just need to get rid of stuff. Yeah, I can walk in here now. a slight roll on this. Didn't do much to it. 18 gauge, sometimes it's hard to actually roll. There we go. Now I got 2 fibers. There we go. Test fit that. Better that way. Now I'm going to be taking some of it out of, but the shape is there. What I'm going to do now is roll the front of the dash right here in the front of it. Just roll the front edge of it. Piece of pipe clamped to the bench. That's all I'm going to use now. I went and used the pipe anvil on it, and I want to fine tune it now. I got that rolled off, but I found it started to kink it, so I'm going to use the pipe now and roll it out. Up. I seem to have enough off this front edge now to work. But it'd be nice to have this fit in here nicer. So I'm going to start trimming this up now. Take the marker, trim this off, and get some of this material out of my way so I can start laying this flat and fine tuning everything now. But I got the overall shape there. I'm pretty pleased with that. I'll get this marked and get it trimmed up. Nothing precise, just a rough cut. Still should be a little bit long. I'll trim this off, test fit it, and I'll start fine tuning the cut. After trimming it down a few times, I'm getting here. I need to flatten this side out. Over here seems good. Right here, this got to come up and go sharper. This is high right along here, so I got to get all that down there now. Get a roll put on that proper. So I'll go get that straightened away. And nothing fancy. I'm just using that piece of pipe again and just hammering it and shaping it, and probably use the pipe anvil to twist it a bit. That's all I'm doing with it. I think I pretty well have it here close enough now where I'm happy with it. I'm happy when you're looking through it there, where this is 2 over here and that's 2 over there. I had a lot of trouble over in this corner here because apparently when the dash comes across, it kind of turns like this when it comes across. So having the same roll right across there, this here would be up over here. But I just trimmed it back. You can see there's still lots more here. I'm going to take the marker now and just lay it there. Just go right along there and mark that. So I can trim that off so I got an actual edge I can see, because it's tucked underneath there now. But I'm happy with the way that's shaped there now, to the point that I can start fine-tuning it some more and fit the dash section back in and start trimming this up so that it actually fits with that other panel. And we'll go from there. I never did nothing fancy with it. It's the same stuff I showed you there earlier. All I did is I downsized to a smaller pipe at one point to roll over the edge on it. Use the big pipe and the pipe anvil and just hammer. Tweak it and go back, test fit it, and tweak it and go back and test fit it, and that's it. Anyway, I'll get that trimmed up there now. I went and clamped it in place, trimmed it up. I cut the end of it off over there and grinded off more of the dash itself, and I put a couple of clecos in it to hold it in place. So there you go. Now you got a dash top that goes from one side to the other. Some are saying, well, Tony, what about the bump? Remember, same as I done the bottom. Let's get everything flowing right from one side to the other and get it consistent there. And then what we'll do, we'll put the bump in it after, okay? So that way we got everything, and trying to do it all in one piece, it really gets complicated trying to make this here, connect over here, connect up along here, connect over here, and then try to put this bump in it all at one time. Fellas are doing it, and it's very, very time consuming. But I just prefer to simplify things and just make one piece at a time, make the second piece later. So now I'm going to fit that back on there with that there and see what it looks like. First thing I've done here is I trimmed off sections off the front section of the dash here, because the dash I got made now comes down to this edge here, and this here goes straight up and is sticking up, so I trimmed it off. Only wants a little bit of it there so I can actually bring the other panel down here, and I'll just join it on through here and weld it on that way. I've done the same thing over here. Now I can put this in place and then fit the top. Now you can see what I got to do for the actual gauge cluster. And there you can see it lined up really nice on the edges. I'm amazed at how nice that came out. And the problem with it is now is this is going to be dropped down because of the thickness of the dash, so that has to be dropped down. Same with that side over there, but you can get the idea what can be done here. Yeah. So I'm thinking now quite possibly what I should do here now is I should make this here one piece before I go on with anything else. That way I can trim it all up and I can fit it in place and use the cleats to hold it in place. But I need to trim up this corner here and do the cut and butt across there, and across there to get that fit nice, and then trim that up there so that all falls in. These edges here, them points there are very crucial for me. I like to have them nice and clean, and so I'll work on that. But yeah, that's coming along nice there now. And then I'll work on making this piece here. This here has to come back here and taper back and then fade off into this here, and then this here will basically run around here like so and come up and then roll over the edge here on the front. This here has to be trimmed off a small bit as well. But yeah, I'm pleased with that, the way that's coming along there now. That's coming out nice. I need to figure out this section here now, size up what I'm going to do there, and then we'll start cutting stuff and get two of these welded together. I'm here now and I'm trying to get this here marked so I can actually trim it up. I only want like an inch or so up here to be able to fall flush with the actual dash itself. And I've done the same thing over here. I got that marked. And I'll go up just before the cleco itself and just cut the corner out of it and have it so that that corner falls down as well. I'll get them trimmed off now. So I've after scribing here now and getting that trimmed off there and getting that trimmed off there. And what I'm here now looking at is this along here. It's still sticking up a bit on this corner. So I scribed it along here. I'm going to cut to fit there and do the same thing over there, cut to fit. So I'm going to take this all apart again now, take the grinder and cut it off. I've after scribing it now with a scribe like this. Old screwdriver, sharpened up. And I'll turn around and I'll trim all that off so that it actually can fall down in place. I've had this in and out of this now 5 times since I got that top piece fitting, and you can see now I got it trimmed off. I already trimmed it off once before and figured I'd get away with an overlap, but it's not going to work. I got to trim that out of the way there. You can barely see the line I got put in there. Up here you might see it better. Right, there's a line going along there. So hard to see sometimes, but there is a line there. I can see it. The camera's not picking up on it. Want to get them trimmed off now, get this fit back in place, and see if I can get that section right here welded. So I went ahead and I got them trimmed off. I'm pleased with that. I got a little bit of a gap there. And over there is the same way. I got to push down on that corner to get it. So now I'm here thinking, okay, so I'm going to weld that on, but what am I going to have to do after that? I'm going to have to start working on this here. So then now I took this here, the actual gauge cluster, and laid it up in place and said, can I fit that in there with all that metal there? And then I realized that a section of that got to be cut out, because this will be the next thing I'll be doing now is fitting this. So when I go to put this in place, this has to go back. So I got this section here in the way. And I think it'll be a lot easier to cut that out now and trim it back before I actually weld that top section in. I just start thinking about that. So I just thought ahead one step and just want to make my life a little bit easier, what I was going to do next. Sometimes I'll think about stuff like that and say, no, that'll be fine like it is. But every now and again when you're getting ready to weld something up, just think about what your next step is going to be and then plan for that. So if you got any cutting that's going to be in your way in order to do it, get it done. So I got this cut out here now, moved out of the way. I might have this here cut a bit far back. It's only metal. I can actually repair it if I got to. I just want to have it so that the gauge can actually fit in there and there's more than enough cut out of it. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and get this section here tack welded on here. And get this section tack welded on here. And just get it so that I got nice flow right here, going from one to the other, transition. And same with over here on this side, get a nice transition right there. So I got them all welded, tack welded anyway. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take it out. I'm going to weld these up and grind and dress and finish them off on the edges there. And just get them welded up. So I want to weld the inside of them as well. So I can do a nice dressed edge on it. And I got to test fit this panel now, mark it, and start trimming this up. So it actually fits the actual bezel. And I got to find out how much of this I got to cut off on the side. I may have to reinforce it a bit there, just to give it a bit of strength. So I'll go ahead now, pop this out, and get this welded up. Starting to come together here now. I got it out here now, and I'm happy how it looks. So I'm going to go ahead now and get these welded up here, get it welded up on the inside, and get that section here grind dressed off, because this edge is going to be changed. Then I got to fit the bezel in there, screw it in there, and I got to mark this along here so I can trim this off, and I got to trim off this edge down here. Now that I got the back on it, it'll give it strength. This here might be a bit flimsy, but I might reinforce it somehow and weld it on the back side here somehow, because this is what the actual panel is going to bolt to, but I want my top section to weld right along this edge as well. So I got them there all welded up inside and out and got them all grinded off. So now that's permanently part of the dash. I'm here now fitting a cluster in it, and there's some little issues right here that I don't like. It's like there's a dip in it in the panel here that I made, and it's not down low enough. And I played around with it. I split the top of it, tried to move it up to get it fall into place. It threw everything out of whack, so I'm going to have to rework these sections here first. I'm going to go ahead and get that done. Basically, what I got to do here is, let's move this somewhere we're safe. I got two little bumps right here. See, these little bumps, I got to move them down on both sides, because this here high edge is keeping the thing up off the thing, and I got a gap down here and I don't like it, so I got to fine tune this section here, and all that is just welding basically on the back side of that. So I'll grind that down. If I got to re-weld it again, I'll re-weld it again, that's all. And I'll grind and dress it. But I want to get that this little edge here moved down to about here somewhere on both sides, so that'll actually fall in place. Just a few minor adjustments. I end up grinding through here and end up grinding through here, but I got it. The panel fits nice on the back of it now. I'm just going to back that up there, weld all it up, grind and dress all that, all nice and pretty again. You'll never know it was done. It's only metal, people. You can always make changes. Well, I got that now. I'm happy with it. It's sitting nice and level there on the bottom side of it there on both sides. Now I'm up here and I got this here. I got to figure this out. Now, as you can see, the chrome falls off and goes to a point to here. So all this here has to be cut off. Now, this is how I got this welded on. What I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to come back here and put a brace right here along this section right here. and weld that to that there. So that way I can actually cut all this off. Because if I cut all this off here, this here is going to fall off and I have nothing to do with it. So I'm going to weld a little piece from there to there just to give it some strength, so I can go ahead and mark this in, and I can trim all this off and finish off this lip here. So I got two little reinforcements put in there on both sides. The reason for that, because all this is going to be cut off. I got some marker now, and I just marked them sections there so I could scribe when I put the gauge in place. And I'll just scribe this down here, and I can cut all that section out of the way then. This is what I'm talking about. I want to trim all this off here, so all this here got to go here. And all this over here got to go here. And then pieces on the back will hold this in place. So I got to scribe this here and just get clear of all that. You can barely see the scribe mark there. But there is a scribe mark in that. Trying to get it in the light there for you. There's the scribe mark, see it there? And I got one over here as well. I'm going to get them trimmed off there now. I'm just going to take the grinder now, cut all this section here out of the way, and grind dress it. Then I can grind and dress and weld this section here. So here's where we're to. I got it all trimmed off. And I got these curved up here as well. I end up having to split this and open it up a small bit and give myself a little bit of leeway. I found it was too tight going in, and I just wanted to give it a little bit more relief. But you can see now the way that back brace, there wouldn't have been much there to hold on, so I had to put the brace in there and the brace in there. Now, before I go on any further, I have to weld up these sections and dress these here, and weld this section here, weld them on the inside, get that done over with. You can see now, I got that all grinded up. Everything's fit in place. So only got it held in place with the three top ones and just letting it hang there. Haven't even put none of these in it. Seems to be lining up really good. I got everything dressed up there now. All that there is all straightened away. Next thing now is we're going to get to that point where we're going to have to figure out the actual dome that goes across here, okay? I got the panel fitting in there nice. Everything is ready to go, so let's get started on this panel here now. What I got to build now, you can see there's a roll. This bottom lip here will be that piece of steel that I got done, and then this rolls over onto it like so. Okay, and there's a roll going right on down through all that. So this here got a pretty fair size roll on it. I'm not going to be able to use this because of the way it's shaped. It's like the other one. I think is going to be a bit wider down here on this section. So I'm just going to get, brace yourselves. I'm going to get a piece of cardboard now and make a template. Ooh, templates. And again, I'm not going to overthink it. I'm going to start off with a square piece of cardboard. I'm going to measure from here over to here, give myself a couple of inches, and then I'm going to measure from here back to here. Give that full distance there and measure something up and cut it out. Just measure back 7 inches and take the whole piece of cardboard. I think it only needs about 13 or so inches. I'll work on that when I start getting it all cut out. I got the piece cut out and I'm cutting the circumference on it there now. One of you guys sent me this here a while back. I'm only getting a chance to use it now today. Greatly appreciate it. They saw me using a marker taped down or something there one day, and they sent me one of these. I can't remember who it was that sent it to me. But I greatly appreciate it. Well, I got that there marked out there now. I'm going to trim that up and just start test fitting this here to see what I'm up against. So here's what I come up with. Okay. Now, I got an idea of where this got to go. This is going to be my starting point. I think I'm going to make it probably like an inch bigger out here because I'm going to have to work this edge. And I like to leave a little bit here as well. Yeah. Right here is my main concern along here because I got to roll this edge over all the way around, so it has to be longer. Back here, I like just like to leave it a little bit longer so that I got something there to trim off of, because I'm going to be beating on this piece of metal to get this the shape that I want to get it in. So, because if you just took a flat piece of steel and rolled this around this here, it doesn't look right. This has got to have a crown on it, and I got to roll off the edge here, right? So I'm going to go ahead now and cut out a piece of steel that's going to probably, say, 1/2 inch to 1 inch bigger, and that way then I can actually start shaping the metal. Just moved it up a bit, moved it off the side a small bit, traced it out, then I added roughly 1 inch all the way around the top side of it. I'll go ahead and get this cut out. I'll get this all stripped off, and we get started on shaping this piece. Okay, so I got that all cut out and cleaned up. Nothing fancy, just buzzed it off with a bit of 24. This is 18 gauge, what this stuff is here, okay? So this is what we're working with here today. Now, what I got to do is I got to shape this here. So what I got to do here now is right here on this end here, this here has to roll over the edge, and the actual thing got to actually make smaller, or actually got to widen it up and raise the size up. I can shrink this edge here, or I can stretch the middle in here. And I find it's a lot easier to shrink, or to stretch the center of it here. Now, I has a cruel way of stretching metal. You can use sandbags with the plastic molds, all that type of stuff, but a lot of that was designed when guys were doing airplanes with aluminum, okay? And that's how they used to shape panels. And they weren't doing no body work on them. And of course, it wasn't metal either, right? Okay. But you see a lot of guys that are using that technique, and they do beautiful work that we're doing it that way. I got a sandbag here. I got no sand. The bag, I must have it 25 years, and I've never put sand in it, okay? Because I don't use it enough. I come up with a little way of using just simple little rings of pipe and a ball peen to stretch the metal, okay? That's all I'm going to use for that. Then when I get it stretched that far, and I got this Princess Auto plemishing hammer. Now, this is not the best. The framing and everything on these are pretty light. As you can see, the actual dies are not lining up the best. One of those days I might build a new frame for it. I don't know. But this was... They changed locations here and with the Princess Auto dealers. And when they closed out the old store, they had a big sale going on. And I got this for like 75% off. So I got it. I can't remember what I paid for it, but it was cheap. I couldn't buy the hammer and a few of these for what I paid for the whole unit. So I said, yeah, give me that. I'll take that. I'll find a use for it. I've used it a few times over the years. I don't use it a lot. You'll see me now. I'll use it on this panel here. I'll use this, and I'll also use polish wheel. This is one I made, 15 years ago, I suppose. This was a kit that I bought on eBay, and I since upgraded the wheels because some local ordered this into a regular garage here and never picked them up, and I was told about them, and they gave me a good deal on them, so I bought the wheels. There's a bunch down here that they gave me, and I just modified the system that I had, because you can see here this side's wider than this here, because the wheels that I had were narrow and this upper wheel was only narrow. I had to change this here, move it all back, but anyway. But that's my little English wheels, a little homemade unit. I got no high-tech tools. This is high-tech, it's homemade, okay? It's not perfect, it has flaws. This here moves around a bit on you, okay? It's, you know, it's homemade, but it works, okay? So these are the tools I'm going to be using on this project. So first thing I'm going to do here now is I'm going to stretch this area in here and in the middle here more. I'm going to leave this outer section alone for now. I can probably get most of that with the wheel, but I got to get this here. Just got to roll off the edge here is what I'm after. But I got to get this here stretched up so I can actually get a crown on this panel here. As you can see, I got the dickens pounded out of that. See all the dents? All I did is I held it over this here and I hit into the center of this here, and that gave me a bit of room for the metal actually want to move, okay? And then I used the smaller one here to try to get this one here to roll a bit more. But you can see I'm roughly getting the shape that I'm after here now. I just wanted to rough it in to get a rough idea where I had to go. Now I can turn around, I'm going to bring this over on the plemishing hammer, and I'm going to start straight working this. I may have to come back to this, but I'm going to actually take this here and try to roll this edge off here and try to see if I can make this here more crowned again. Now I got the roundest die on the top of it. They're down here collecting dust. These are the type of dies you're talking about, but I got the one with the biggest crown on it laid up here. That's the one I'm going to use. And all this is an air hammer with a bit in the end of it. It just pounds onto another die, okay? You can see the top one here, and then there's the bottom one, okay? And all this does is just stretches the metal and smooths it out, okay? And I can actually relieve it and actually take the weight off it from this in here. So it's a pretty basic setup. It works fine for what I want it to, so let's get shaping. So this is what you see I got done here so far. Never took much, but I got the there. That's feeling pretty good there now. Still a bit bumpy and everything. You can still see all the marks in it. Where I'm going through it, I will fine tune that later. The problem with it is now is I got to get this here to curve more. Because if you take this over here to the car, and you can see when I lay it in place what I'm up against. So now I got to curve that along the front here to follow this shape here. So I think what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get out the shrinker stretcher and I'm going to shrink this section along here so it all draws in, and this is going to want to turn on me. This here will actually flow this way on me. Now right along this edge here, what we need to do is we need to shrink it. My hand is the actual metal itself. What we need to do is when you turn around and you bring that metal together like this here, this is going to want to come into itself. It's going to want to turn on you along here, okay? So that's what we're going to do. You can just almost picture that there. If I turn around and done this here, this is going to want to come in and curve like that along this edge here. So I'm going to shrink that. Again, a simple little tool from Princess Auto. The stand is all homemade. A friend of mine owns this and he lent it to me one time and I still got it here in the shop. It's one of those tools that'll just kick around and you don't use it until you need it. So I got it for now. So I'm here now, I'm going to turn around and shrink. This is the shrinker here. I'm going to shrink the edge off of this here now, and we'll basically see how much of a curvature we can get in it. There's curvature coming on that now. And there's what it looks like. All I've done with this is shrank this edge here. You can actually see it now. It's actually taking a curvature shape to it. It's actually taking the shape that I'm after. Okay? So now I'll go over and test fit that. And I'm probably going to work this a bit more now with the plemishing hammer. I like to roll this off. I just got to have a sharp edge going down along here for it to roll off. That's why I have all this on the edge here. Because I got to trim this off in order to get actually weld this in place, right? It's coming there. You can actually see the way it's rolling around there. All I'm going to do here now is I'm going to go back and forth again. I think I'm going to stretch this a bit more in here. Maybe I won't. Yeah, I'm going to stretch it a bit more in here with the hammer. And I'm going to turn around and plemish it some more. And then I'm going to shrink it some more. So here's where I'm to. After doing this, shrinking this a couple of times now, test fitting it, I'm pretty good. If you look up across that there, it's still a bit flat in through here. I like to put a bit more of a crown on it through the middle there. The next thing for me now, as you can see, that's sitting decently flat on the table. It's still got to be pushed down in order to get it, okay? But I am getting close. So all I need to do now is I got to start trimming this so it actually fits on the car better. As you can see now, it's pretty well got its shape. It's still got to be tightened up a bit more. I might tighten it up a bit more even again. And then I got to start trimming stuff down. So I got that there so it's parallel, but it's got to drop an inch. So I got to basically start working on the back side back here now. So here's where I'm to now. I turn around and marked it up because the dash goes over and turns down. So I got some work to do in here, but this is the flat part of the dash that I'm working on. So I'm going to turn around and trim that off there now. And then I can actually start test fitting it, trimming these edges here to fit better. And then work on getting this here to move in a bit more. So I've after removing the strip off the back side of it, cut these on a bit of an angle. Now, as you can see, it's starting to get better there now. I'm going to go ahead and shrink some of this some more. Over here in the back, I'm going to have to work on this back here. It's sticking up right here. So this here has to be brought down on the back side here. So I'm just going to turn around and start working this now, bit by bit. That's really taking shape there now, isn't it? And you got a big curve on it. What I'm doing here now is I'm trying to get this edge here to lay flat on the dash. So she's touching here and she's not touching up here. So I'm trimming this off here and trimming this off here. Then I'll go back and I'll test fit it again and see where it's touching then. And just start slowly bringing it down till this point here actually touches the actual dash itself. By laying it here, it's pretty good. It doesn't need much, but the dash got a curve in it, so I got to take that in consideration. So I'll get this trimmed off now and do another test fit. Now I've been hammering it, trimming it, hammering it, trimming it, hammering it, trimming it, fitting it, checking it all out. And what I'm doing here now is I got this big radius on the front of it there. I must drop this back a bit, cut it back a small bit, just take a little bit of a radius out of it, move all this forward a small bit. Over here, I think I cut it a bit too short. I got a gap right here. I'm going to have to weld a piece in there. Trial and error. I didn't have to show you that, but I'm going to. You can see over here, there's more metal over here, right? But it just seems like when I lay it in place, the biggest issue I got is because this here was like this here when I bent it. When I lay it back, this curvature now has to go this way. They over-exaggerated, okay? It has to go this way. And this is the problem. I knew I was going to run into that when I built this because I thought about the way the metal moves, okay? So, as you can see now, I'm after working this crease here back some and trimming off sections off the front side here out of the way so I can move this roll back to get it to lay down flat. And all I've been doing is laying it against this here and just moving it back and getting an idea of how parallel it is to that, because you can't see nothing when it's out here. So when you move it back, you can see that I'm pretty well close there. Now I just want to drop this down. Over here, I got almost pretty well stuck my finger in there. This side here is not so bad, see? Right here. It's tricky because I got to take this into consideration on the dash, right? But I'm going to go on and continue on, trim this off a bit more, get it fitting a bit more. It's not going to be just turning on the camera here because it's just me hammering and cutting and trimming and fitting and cutting, trimming and fitting. When I get this bit fitting better, I'll bring it back. So here's what I have. Okay, you can look across that there. It looks pretty good there. All right. Still got a few wrinkles in it here and there, but the overall shape that I'm after is there. The nice curvature on the nose right here on the front. The way it's shaped around the front of it here. I am a bit short over here. I got to weld a piece in here. I don't think I'm going to bother with welding a piece in that now and grinding and dressing it and fitting it after the fact, because I do have to do a lot of work with these ends. I think I'm going to incorporate all that in with that. It's only metal. This side here come out nice. I like the way this fits pretty good, but I also got to work this side here too to flow with the corner of the dash. Like the corner of the dash, the way I got this set up here now, like this eyebrow will fade back into the actual crease of the thing, and this crease here will flow along this corner around here. So I got to work that when I get it under. But basically, here's your eyebrow. Goes along there, and it sits on the card. Just got to, push it down a few spots. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead now and start tack and weld this on the front of it and fitting it across the back here. I'm going to mark this with a marker, and then I'm going to trim most of this out of here. But I'm going to leave probably like a 1/4 of an inch or so that I can actually lay it against and push against, instead of trying to do like a cut to fit type of deal, because it'll want to fall through the thing and then it won't fit properly. I want to be able to have a nice sharp, a real tight actual gap here on these here. But that's basically everything to make that panel. Now I was doing a lot of work off camera. Like there's I'd say this panel here, probably got about 2 hours into it, 2.5 hours possibly to make this. Been at it pretty well most of the morning. I've gone back from this machine to that machine, over to the English wheel over here. Okay. Over to the English wheel. So I've been going back and forth from all that, and I have an old handle, one of these handles. That's all it is. It's a handle off one of these here, and I got that here, and I just use that for rounding out my edges and stuff like that. I use that hammer, the grinders. That's the extent of what I use to make that whole thing. I never, like this here is a cheap Princess Auto blemishing hammer. That's a cheap shrinker stretcher from Princess Auto. Okay, now again, like you don't see me using a lot of this because I don't use it. When I get into small crown panels, that's usually when I find all this stuff good. And same with that here. But making large panels, not so much. And of course, then I got my homemade English wheel over here. So, like, I've got this, and if you probably haven't seen me use that in 6 months, I think the last time I was using this, I was making floors for the Toyota. It's for making that simple little panel. It's a lot of it got to do with just, taking it a bit at a time. You notice how I made it nice and big, and then I trimmed it off and kept trimming it back, because I knew this roll here was going to be an issue, and I knew that when this started tipping, that this straight edge was going to change. I knew that, right? So But what I'm going to do now is fit that in place there, tack weld it on, and then, well, I'm going to mark this first, trim that out of the way, and then I'm going to tack weld on along here, and come along here and tack weld on here. I want to leave this where it's too, because if I take it off, this is just going to relax more. At least the cleat goes now are holding everything in position. That way I can start welding all this on here and get it done. So I'm here now, and I just marked out the center section here, and I was going to say, well, I'll cut it off, cut it out through here, but there's not a lot of material up here, okay? I started thinking about it, and I realized that there's a lot of strength to these panels here now with this in place. When I cut this out, this is going to lose all its strength. So I think that what's going to happen then was because I had to push down on this a small bit in order to get this welded on here and to get it welded across there. And I think if I turn around and cut this, I'm going to make it all right flimsy, and it's not going to go together right for me. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave that there and cut it out later, and I'm just going to fit this in place here, put a few tacks across the front here, and then I'm going to turn around and start tacking it around the side here and have it so that I can actually take this panel off then, right? I want to get it tacked in place while it's still on the car before I take it off to do all the finishing and the dressing and do these edges and stuff like that. So let's get this welded in. So I got it tacked in place, and I welded an inch, skipped an inch. I'm letting it cool off there now. I'm going to weld this right where it's to before I lets it out. I'm going to weld this section up here, and also going to weld across top here. Get all the major welding done on it so that when I let it go, that it's not going to move around on me. It's held in place where it's got to be. So I'll go get all that welded up and get this welded up, and then I'll pop it off. So I got everything welded up. I got a little gap here, a little boo-boo here, and over here I got a little piece on the end here. I'll show you that when it gets it off. But it's all welded in place there now. I'll let it cool off, and then when it's cooled off, then I'll take it out. And I'll start grinding and dress all this section here before it goes on. It does anything else with any of this here, and I'll get that all grinded up. So now all I got left to do is do these sections here on either side. Let that cool off and we get started on that. Well, it seems like I missed out on some stuff. I thought I was videotaping and I wasn't. I got the piece down here and I got it grinded up now for the first grinding all the way around there. Okay. Over here you can see. Over here you can see there's a gap. I got to put a strip in there to fill up that gap there before I does any trimming here. You see me here with welding up along here. What I run into, man, that makes noise. What I run into is it seems like that this strip that I had all lined up when I went and welded this in place or moved stuff, when I was fitting stuff on, I moved that up this upper section a small bit. And what I'm finding now is that this here, the chrome is sticking out past the edge of this here, which I didn't want it to do. So I've been sitting here now and all I've been doing is running a bead of weld along it. I was going to put a strip of steel across it, whatever, but still I'm probably going to have to fill this up in here at welds now. I got a fair bit of work to do here now because we will see what I'm getting to here now shortly. But I'm going to put another run on that there now bead, and then I'm going to grind it off and see what I come up with. I've been just trying to tidy up this up. You can see how much I got it built up down here. All right. I think I never test fit none of this, the chrome, and that's always the way. If you don't test fit stuff, Like when I tacked this all on, I should have test fit that chrome in place. When I test fit the chrome in place, I would have saw this, and then I turned around and said, okay, well, I'm gonna have to let that go and pull that out and weld that on there, and I would have got it then. But you know, that's it. You make mistakes. Again, like I'm human, like everybody else. I'm gonna show you the mistakes I make, and that's it. You know. So I'm gonna go ahead now and run another bead across that and get that all grinded off, so I'm happy with it first before I go any further. So here's where I'm to. I got that all welded up and grinded up. I'm telling you, that was crude. What I did there, well, it looks the part. Now you can actually see how much I built it up. That's how much it was off on this side here for that there chrome to actually lay in there nice. And then I actually then dressed the edge of it. Dressed it on the inside. All that's done. What I'm doing here, what I did here then is I had a little spot over here I had to weld up. Another spot over here had to be welded up. And then I had to weld a tab on here. And I just done it like I always does all that type of stuff. Strip of metal, holds it in place, welds it up. Strip of metal, hold in place, weld it up. Strip of metal, hold it in place, weld it up. I'll trim all that off after. What I'm going to do here now is I get this here cut off and get this all grinded up again. I went and re-welded some spots on that again. I'm trying to get this finished off here now, so we'll get this done. So I'm just trying to have it so everything's done, so all I got to worry about is these two corners, okay? So I'll go ahead now and get all that grinded up. So I'm here now, and I got this all grinded up. All that looks good, all the way around there. I got that done. Got it from the side. See a nice little crown on it. Looks the part, nice rolled off edge. Goes to a point up here where the gauge is to. All I got left to do on this now is these two corners. This section's right here, there and there. And over here, I'm just going to turn around and cut that off down through there. Do the same thing over there. I'm going to leave a little bit of leeway here, and I'm going to start grinding it back because I got to tap this down to meet the lip here. So this here has a rolled edge that rolls off and fades away to this edge here. So this here line here will actually come up across here, go down, and go across there. As you can see, nice edge. Now I just got it trimmed off over here, and I got it trimmed over here, and then I tap this corner back, and I'm going to weld this up here now, and I'm going to have this here line, so this goes up, flows across here, flows down out here. This side here is a bit thick for me, so I'm going to do some manipulating over here, but that's what I'm going to do here now. I'll get them welded up. And there it is. All dressed up. All grinded off. This here flows into this. Comes across, flows into that. You see the way it looks. And one piece at a time. That's all that is. So I'm going to go put that back in the car now and see what it looks like. There it is. All put back in place again. Big difference, I can tell you that. Puts a whole new look on the whole car. Never bothered to use nothing. I just made everything up as I went along. Took it one step at a time. Made the lower sections. Made the upper sections. Made the flat panel up here. Then I turned around and made the actual crown piece. So the only way to make stuff like this here, you can't go trying to jump into it and try to make it all at once and figure out that you're going to make like 4 or 5 different angles and shapes. It's a lot easier to break it up into pieces and make it all up. You see now when you come out here now and you look across here, it's got the little eyebrow on it, sticks off. Right? Looking down to dash, little bump in the dash. Now this transition here will probably be smaller. Right here, it's pretty sharp, this transition. So that'll probably just smooth out a bit, but I just wanted to do that just so that it had a nice edge on it. And I'll probably just flow that into that a small bit. You do that with a bit of body filler or whatnot. But it's got a nice crown on it when you look across it now. It's got a nice curvature to it. Roll off the nose, right? This here roll is much the same as like it's on the dash itself. And then it goes to a peak here. And then you can see the way the peak goes. The way it just follows along here. And then flows out to the car there. Yeah. I'm pleased with that. Next on the agenda for this here now is going to be cut all the stuff out of the inside of it and start getting it set up for the actual steering column. And actually get it put in place and get it welded in. But that's going to be on the next one. It's been a lot of work to this one. Very pleased with it. It was a big undertaking. We had nothing to start with, and we just went on an idea with that piece of chrome. Okay. So, anyway, this is where we're going to leave this one. I hope the tips were good, and until next time.